Ana Kasparian of the Young Turks and Sam Seder and Emma Vigeland of the Majority Report have been engaged in a bit of a feud for a while over crime statistics in the United States. Ana Kasparian and Sam Seder and Emma Vigeland look at these statistics very differently, and each feels that the other has an agenda. So we're going to take a look at a couple of clips from the Young Turks with Ana Kasparian, as well as a clip from the Majority Report. We'll see Ana Kasparian's analysis and opinion on this, and I'll share my thoughts from time to time as well. This is pretty interesting. Let's take a look.
The problem is the FBI does not audit the local police departments submitting this data unless the local police departments submitting the data ask for an audit, which, why would they do that? Now, things actually got a lot worse beginning in 2021, as the Marshall Project also notes, because the way in which the FBI collects data changed, and some law enforcement agencies were slow to adapt to the new system. The Marshall Project notes that nearly 40% of law enforcement agencies around the country did not submit any data in 2021 to a newly revised FBI crime statistics collection program, leaving a massive gap in the information that was collected, a massive gap in the data. In an effort to fully modernize the system, the FBI stopped taking data from the old summary system and only accepted data through the new system. Thousands of police agencies fell through the cracks because they didn't catch up with the changes on time. More than 6,000 law enforcement agencies were missing from the FBI's national crime data in 2022, representing nearly 1/3 of the nation's 18,000 police agencies. This means a quarter of the US population was not represented in the federal crime data. Reporting actually did improve a little bit the following year, with an additional 2,000 agencies submitting their crime reports. That's a good thing, but that means that 4,000 of them still had not, meaning the FBI's data was still incomplete. The two largest police agencies in the US, the New York Police Department and the Los Angeles Police Department, are still missing in the federal data. Politicians like Florida Governor Ron DeSantis take full advantage of the incomplete data to declare that, look at what I did. Crime rates are down in my state. I'm such a winner, I'm such a great leader, but less than 10% of agencies were included in their 2022 FBI crime report. Of course, the left also relies heavily on this inaccurate data for its own purposes.
Crime may be up in your neighborhood, but that's not what's happening nationally.
It's kind of the equivalent to, remember when Senator Inhofe brought the snowball onto the Senate floor to say, hey, climate change isn't happening, look at this snowball.
Right, I can look out my window and see that it's cold, and now I know climate change is not happening.
So if you can conceptualize of trends as statistical trends as it relates to climate change, you can conceptualize of trends as it relates to crime, and maybe just try to get over some of your preconceived notions about certain kinds of people in order to get there and put that in the recycling bin.
All right, look, I don't know if climate change is a great analogy here, because unlike our rapidly warming planet, which leads to extreme weather events and of course rising sea levels that impact everyone living on said planet, crime spikes in cities impact those living in the cities. Honestly, who cares about the national data, especially if it's concealing the clusters of crime spikes in the country? It's as dishonest as pointing to national polling for the general election rather than focusing on the swing states that ultimately decide the election. And of course, the insult, it's incredibly insulting to those worried about crime in their communities, in their areas, by painting them as hysterical lunatics who base their views on anecdotes.
I'm not really sure what Ana Kasparian thinks is the agenda that Sam Seder and Emma Vigeland and I guess other people on the left that she feels, that Ana Kasparian feels that Sam Seder and Emma Vigeland are representative of. I'm not really sure what she thinks the agenda is. Is it anti-police? She doesn't say in this particular video, so I don't really know. But I would disagree with Ana Kasparian about national crime statistics not being important. An example of that to me would be we have an election here in just a few weeks, a presidential election, and the Republicans constantly act like the United States is like something out of a Mad Max movie where they're just, we just have these wastelands with crazed criminals. And, every time you step out of your house, somebody's going to, murder you or carjack you or whatever, which is just not the reality of the country as a whole. Crime statistics the last few years in the country as a whole have been lower than it was in the 1990s. So Ana Kasparian is talking about Sam Seder and Emma Vigeland being disingenuous, but I feel she's being disingenuous with this because this is something that, the Trump administration is throwing out this idea that we just have widespread lawlessness all across the United States because the Democrats are weak on crime. And I think if, Ana Kasparian, I do not think wants Donald Trump to win, but if you only focus on the local numbers and act like crime is rampant throughout the United States when it's not true, that just plays into the hands of the Trump administration and right-wingers, in my opinion.
City-specific trends exist, and they tend to be more accurate than the FBI's incomplete national report. Let's check in on Los Angeles, shall we? Let's take a look at this. Murder rates dropping across the country, that's good, but not in Los Angeles. That's bad. Is it okay to say that, or is that ignorant propaganda that doesn't focus enough on the inaccurate FBI stats that keep getting tossed around as the holy grail of data? Data from the Los Angeles Police Department shows, as of mid-March, the murder rate had climbed to about 30% above the same period in 2023, and the number of people shot, comprising both murders and people who survived shootings, also crept above early 2023 numbers. LAPD Chief Dominique Choi told the Board of Police Commissioners this week that since mid-March, the 30% increase had dropped to about 9.3%, with the city recording 81 murders compared with 74 during the same period in 2023. So obviously, the number of people getting shot, the number of homicides is a problem, specifically in Los Angeles. In other parts of California, like in Oakland and San Francisco, other forms of crime have seen a spike. Homicides are low in San Francisco, but property crime is through the roof. Washington, D.C. has an issue with carjackings, something Detroit has managed to decrease by actually hiring more cops while reforming policing overall, something that we should have done from the very beginning. Detroit Mayor Mike Duggan said in 2013 the city had the highest homicide rate in the nation and was known nationally as Carjack City, with 782 carjackings that year. Then Police Chief James Craig was nearly carjacked in an unmarked car. But since then, the mayor said that the city has hiked officers' pay to make it competitive with other cities and hired 230 more officers in 2023. Duggan said homicides have dropped from 386 in 2012 to 252 in 2013, the fewest since 1966. Look, different jurisdictions have varying laws and respond to crime in different ways. So again, focusing on federal data, especially when it's deeply flawed to begin with, is useless in both living in a fact-based reality and addressing crime in specific locations. So in sum, please don't be a sucker and don't cite FBI crime reports. Find city-specific crime trends that apply to you, and don't let anyone gaslight you about what's happening in your neck of the woods, because their political agenda is more important to them than your safety is.
So I wonder if Ana Kasparian, if she really believes that Sam Seder and Emma Vigeland have an agenda and they don't care about people at all and they're just trying to gaslight them. I mean, I'm going to openly say I've watched The Young Turks for years, and I like the show, and I like Anna, and I like Cenk and the other people who are hosts on The Young Turks, and I've watched The Majority Report for years, and I watch and I like Sam Seder and Emma Vigeland. That doesn't mean that with any of them that I agree with 100% of what they're saying all the time. But I definitely don't think this has to be a Coke versus Pepsi thing where I have to pick between Anna or Sam or Anna and Emma. I really wonder what Ana Kasparian is trying to do, if she's just specifically calling out Sam Seder and Emma Vigeland just to try to increase their numbers. I mean, you never know I don't know any of these people personally, so you never know how much of what they're saying they actually believe and how much of it is an act. I don't know. Maybe the things that Ana Kasparian says or the things that Sam Seder says or the things that Emma Vigeland say, they all 100% agree or believe those things. Or maybe they don't believe those things that they're saying and they're just saying those things to get clicks. I don't know. But I don't really understand what Ana Kasparian feels is Sam Seder's agenda and the majority report's agenda and why they're trying to gaslight people. Like I said, crime being up in individual communities, but crime being down overall in the country, both of those things that can be true. And, this FBI reporting system that she's talking about aside, even before that went into effect, all the national data was showing that crime in the United States has been down for quite a while compared to what it was 30 or 40 years ago. The United States is a safer country than it was then, despite pockets of crime and things like mass shootings and all those kind of things. Now, there was a spike during COVID because a lot of wild and crazy stuff was happening during that time, but then the crime started to come back down after COVID. But what do you think? Do you think Ana Kasparian is right about this? Are the people on the right or the people on the left, rather, other than her, are they lying about this? Are they trying to gaslight people? Do they have some agenda? I don't really understand what the agenda is. It sounds vaguely like she thinks it's just they're anti-cop. I don't know, because she doesn't make it explicit here. Do you think Ana Kasparian is right, or do you agree with Sam Seder and Emma Vigeland that there are these pockets of crime and maybe even there's crime rising in the area where you live, but that doesn't mean that it's terrible all across the country, which, as I said, I think plays right into the hands of the right and Donald Trump and JD Vance. Let me know what you think in the comments about this. I think this is an interesting topic. I love to read your comments. Make sure to give me a like and subscribe. My channel's growing. It's blowing up. It's growing really quickly, and I want it to continue to grow. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. That allows me to continue to grow at a rapid pace. This is Chris on Culture. I will see you in the next video.